Yo, what is up guys, it's AZ Gamer here, and today we have the top 10 worst games of 2014 for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Keep in mind that these games listed are ones that are available for any of the next-gen consoles, so no last-gen exclusives here, and I did not include remasters in this list. Sometimes, a game may not be worse than another, but is considered to be because it may have had much higher expectations. Now, without further ado, let's get straight into it.
Thou wouldst better find the deepest pit and cower there.
Bound by Flame is, by RPG standards, not a big game. Of course, there are repetitive and tedious battles you must repeat over and over again, but I hardly think they are worthy to be added to the lasting appeal of this game. Bound by Flame has no big world to explore, like other RPGs do, but you do get to traverse small levels loaded with twisting hallways. How fun! Spiders, the developer behind this game, must have thought that they'd get away with this half-assed release just because at the time there weren't very many games on the PlayStation 4. The main problem is that they put too many different ideas into one game, which didn't allow any particular one to do well, and so they all collapsed together. NBA 2K15 is yet another installment of the fantastic ongoing franchise that is NBA 2K. 2K13 and 2K14 happen to be some of my favorite sport games of all time. Now, why does NBA 2K15 deserve to be a part of this list? Well, you see, there's really nothing worse than investing hours and hours into my career along with purchasing microtransactions only to find out that the terrible 2K servers forgot who you are and want you to begin playing NBA 2K15 all over again. In the recent years, I feel like the head of EA or Ubisoft held a conference meeting with 2K and plagued their minds with all these money-grabbing ideas that 2K thought would be well fitted to be in 2K15. You can't move into another menu without encountering some stupid advertisement about a new sweater on sale for your MyPlayer, or one telling me about how investing $100 into microtransactions only for it to be lost again is a good idea. I really feel like NBA 2K15 could have been the best NBA game ever made, because the game was really fun, but to lag out of many online games and to lose progress is unacceptable. Shame on you, 2K. The plot behind Watch Dogs is simple. You play as a lifeless character named Aiden Pierce who wants revenge on someone who killed his niece, and the only way for him to attain his revenge is to kill hundreds of people. Yeah, avenge one death with the death of hundreds if not thousands. When driving, you feel like you're controlling a dune buggy on an ice rink, and crashing into another car is the equivalent of driving a big wheel into a beanbag. The map is loaded with side missions that make you believe there's lots to do, but in reality, you're repeating the same task over and over again but in different areas of the map. How exciting. Oh, and what you saw in E3 exists in another realm. Look elsewhere, please.
It is played in the shadows.
Assassin's Creed Unity was my most anticipated game of fall 2014. I watched the Gamescom and E3 gameplay videos over and over again until I memorized every movement and piece of dialogue. Once I got to play, however, things went downhill from there. Arno won't goddamn listen when I press A to leap. Instead, he jumps up and down the ledge looking like a freaking pansy. Before the recent patch, I felt like the game engine wasn't the Anvil Next engine, but rather Microsoft's PowerPoint. It would stutter like all hell broke loose until the game felt like turning off the audio for a couple of seconds. The combat is god-awful and makes me wonder why the tutorial didn't warn me about the thousands of smoke bombs I would need to use for every battle with a single guard. Oh, and like every other Ubisoft game, the map is loaded with so much shit that I can't even see the map anymore. You can't even filter what you want. They only have their preset ones that only help half the time. The game finally works. It makes me wonder why the game wasn't released on December 23rd, a Tuesday where the game actually works. If I made a list of the biggest letdowns of 2014, this would be one of the ones on the top. Drive Club, released under the thought of a next-generation racing game bound together with astounding online capabilities, became one of the biggest flops in PlayStation history. Want to know the reason why? Well, that whole online thingy they kept going on about, well, yeah, it doesn't happen to work. Yeah, the whole idea behind the game won't function. A similar situation would be if in Call of Duty, all the guns were jammed and wouldn't shoot. Also, the AI and stupid arcade mechanics add fuel to the fire that is Drive Club, along with more and more menus everywhere. Wait, did I mention even more menus behind the more menus? But hey, at least the game's got rain and snow going for it.
You must never fail to capitalize on it.
Transformers Rise of the Dark Spark consists of many bugs, terrible visuals for a new-gen game, horrifying and blatant sound design, frustratingly boring combat and action all bound together and slapped onto a Blu-ray disc that happens to run on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Nothing else to say here.
Decepticon. Autobots, we must...
Ubisoft had great ambitions for the crew. It could have become something never done before and exceptional at that. A big, open-world racing game spanning across the United States of America, and you get to race with your friends all over it. How awesome does that sound? Instead, you get a racing game that comes bundled with PS2 grade visuals, plastic cars, lifeless story characters to the point where they seem like they belong in The Walking Dead, and the United States that is actually the size of an island that isn't big enough to be placed on an official world map. Yep, the third game by Ubisoft on this list. I'm seeing a trend here.
In order to succeed here, you have to be a well-rounded Robertson.
You bring home the game.
Ah, this game. Yep, the game where you play as a couple of heavily bearded rednecks who control like they have stakes up their asses. There's really no point in Duck Dynasty. All gameplay elements have no depth. All you really get is a boring racing game, a boring shooting game, and a rhythm game that is so simple and easy that I forgot the game's based on Duck Dynasty and not Sesame Street. Why bother talking about this game anymore? After the big flop that was NBA Live 14, EA promised big things for NBA Live 15. They showed off renewed visuals, new dribbling mechanics, and a revamped story mode. They were even confident enough to give a free 6-hour trial on the Xbox One marketplace that came packed with everything the game offers. Well, the problem here is that EA's idea of high visual fidelity is a bunch of basketball players who have shiny glow on them that makes them seem like they are either plastic toys or are covered in saran wrap. Oh, and the basketball court does reflect lights. How next-gen is that? The dribbling mechanics are god-awful and the shooting is so bad that a seasoned NBA 2K player like myself can't score even with Damian Lillard or Kevin Durant. EA, how about you stop padding after the guys at 2K Sports and maybe try your own thing? Oh, and yeah, I think you guys need a new game engine over there. The biggest fail, flop, letdown, horror, piece of trash, and everything in between of the year. Destiny. A name that should never be mentioned for as long as the video game industry lives. A game plagued by bugs, terrible mechanics, a god-awful loot system that is nowhere near Borderlands' level, no matter how many times Activision says it is, and a pitiful excuse for a story. Wait, scratch that. I mean no story. Guess who the developer is? Yep, the guys behind the long-running and fabled Xbox FPS franchise, Halo. Let me repeat that. Bungie developed this piece of shit for a game. Destiny is the worst thing to happen to gaming and that will ever happen to gaming. One of the most expensive games of all time turns into this. The DLC was extracted from the main game and sold at a separate price, but the funny thing is, the DLC flopped too. I guess it was a good idea to leave it out of the main game. You know what's even worse than Destiny? The fact that there will be a Destiny 2. Why? I'll bet that Destiny 2 is actually a part of Destiny that was extracted from it and saved for later. Here's hoping this worthless garbage doesn't reach its goal of 15 million sales. The only award this game deserves is the worst game of 2014 and probably of all time. That is all guys, I hope you enjoyed this video more than the games themselves, and I'll catch you guys on another video.